Hello my friends, welcome to the garden. I'm just out here, I got to finish planting. These are jalapeno peppers and I'd like to plant out the whole bed, but as you can see, some weeds growing. But yeah, with my gardening methodology, I guess, in the fall I usually collect the leaf and grass mulch from the lawnmower and I use it to mulch the bed. And as you can see here, it's very easy to plant into. I just make a little room and drop a plant in. It suppresses all the weeds and protects the soil over the winter. Now the other half of the bed was left wild. I didn't plant into it last season. Only this half was planted. I think I had beets in there or something. So this was left with dandelions and whatever this weed is here that's flowering. I do have a perennial, some flowers. I don't know what they're called. You know, a little bit damaged because the dandelions were smothering them. But yeah, I'm going to get rid of these weeds. Now leaving weeds in here like this might actually be better for the soil than leaving it like this. This protects the soil from the radiation of the sun and the wind, and the extreme cold too, even this insulating layer in the winter. But a living layer, you hear people talk about cover crops and such. This is a cover crop too. It's just not seed I spent money on. It's dandelions and weeds. But they have their roots, everything's active in the soil, so the soil biology will be more active here in a more plant-friendly way, right? Because it's all the bacteria that's interacting with the roots, than probably over here, where there's still lots of soil activity, bacteria and everything. It's healthy. It's just this one's maybe more specialized into helping the plants, right? Because there's actually plants growing here. Whereas this, I just planted the peppers in, so all those bacteria that are used to coexisting, right, with the living plants have a smaller population on this side of the bed than this side. So what to do with your weeds? Well, you can turn them back into fertilizer very easily. And that's what I'll be showing today, as you probably know from the title of the video. I don't know what I'm going to title the video yet, but probably have something to do with compost tea. So I'll show you the two methods of making compost tea. Basically, well, there's more than two methods for making compost tea. I'll show you the two basic categories of compost teas. Very basic recipes, you can take it from there. If you want to go more in depth, I really highly recommend JADAM, organic compost teas. It's out of Korea, South Korea, I believe, I hope. But anyways, yeah, compost tea. So there's basically two methods to achieve a compost tea. One is through putrefaction. You'll see that with all the videos on liquid fertilizers. You'll see it in my previous videos because I use it to activate biochar, and it's just easy. It's the lazy man's compost tea. So on the right here, this is going to be compost tea through putrefaction, which is basically I'm just going to throw the weeds in this bucket here with some rainwater and let it rot over several weeks. Okay, so it's not a quick result. You have to let it rot down to extract all the bioactive compounds and nutrients and minerals and all the good stuff that's in your plants. You'll go into solution and you'll have a liquid fertilizer. And in this one, I'm going to do something a little bit different. This is your more accurately a compost tea. We're going to steep it. We're going to extract what we want from it, and we're going to grow microbiology that's beneficial to the plants. So it's going to be a little bit different. This one's going to be used more of a soil drench. This one can also be used as a soil drench, but it can also be sprayed on your plants. So it can be used as a foliage treatment. And depending on what you put in and the ingredients you put into it, you can do all kinds of different things: antifungal, rust, whatever you want. Yeah, like specific to the problem you're having, right? Anti-pest. You can put different ingredients in, and that's where I would go to Jadam, Jadam. Look it up; it's very interesting. So to achieve more of a positive microbiology in the compost tea, you want aeration. Now you can just start with the stick, but you have to do it quite often throughout the day to get enough oxygen in there. But I'm convinced you can with the stick, right? I also ferment alcohol, so I know how little oxygen it takes to activate biological systems. So I have here just your ordinary, average, cheap air pump for aquariums. This one was about $20 on Amazon. I'm not going to put a link or nothing. I'm not trying to sell you on anything. That's why I mentioned the stick before I showed this. But this is your cheap option to a stick, and that way you don't have to come out every few hours stirring it and worrying about whether or not you have enough oxygen. This will give plenty of oxygen and more. Now when I'm applying the teas to the soil or to my biochar or to plants, either put it in a watering can, right, with a spout on it, or you can use a sprayer if you're spraying the foliage. So if I want to put a solution in the sprayer, I don't want it all clogged up, and I don't want to spend my time cleaning out the nozzle. So what I have here is just a nut milk bag, it's called. Got them on Amazon too. You can get a package of 5 or 10 or whatever. They're fairly cheap. It's got an elastic closing mouth on it here, so I'm going to put some roots and weeds and all this stuff I'm pulling up in this bag, and that way it'll keep the debris mostly out of the water, not like the water's clean. It was very heavy rainfalls, thunderstorms for a few days, so some debris and bugs and dirt and stuff got in there, but it's no problem. We can strain the water before we put it into our watering jug or our sprayer. But yeah, so lots of talk. Basically an aquarium pump. This one's adjustable for how much air you can put in, which is very handy. And again, they're like 20 bucks on Amazon. Now they're probably not great to use outside because they're meant for indoor use. So don't use it in the rain. And one other thing, if you are going to use a pump, here you can see here, I just have it sitting beside the bucket on a step stool thing. But you want the pump higher than the bucket, than the water, because the unit, the actual pump unit, higher. If you lose power, it won't siphon back and destroy the unit. You can also attach into your line, splice into your line a valve so that the water doesn't backflow. Or you can just sit it higher. That's just a little tip for that. But again, yeah, I gotta get over here and start pulling out the weeds. I'll just toss some straight in the bucket as I go. That's what makes the putrefaction method to make liquid fertilizer really appealing, because it's super easy, right? You just throw stuff in the bucket, you can keep adding to it as you go. The day after, for weeks, whatever. It just takes a while to mature into something you can use. And it's not great for every application, right? You don't want to spray it on your lettuce and then make a salad, right? Whereas if I'm just trying to make biology happen, right? Getting all those healthy microbes living in a large colony of them, I want to add oxygen, right? To extract nutrients and stuff from the weeds. The water is fine, but the oxygen will help the microbes to grow, so you get a good, healthy microbial stew going on, tea, I guess. Now, I highly recommend not stepping or walking in your raised garden beds. The dog has figured out it likes to eat the grass that grows in there, not the grass that grows beside it. And I also suspect my strawberries. But yeah, I'm gonna start digging up these weeds and start brewing some tea. Alright, so I'm not sure what kind of weed this is, but oops, I didn't get the roots. The ground's wet, I'm not giving up the roots. But yeah, so as you're pulling stuff up, the roots are covered in good biology, right? All those symbiotic bacterias and fungi that grow. So grow along the roots, right? Help, you know, they give the plants nutrition in exchange for sugar and stuff. This is what we want to make reproduce in the compost tea and then add back to our garden. It's just increasing, multiplying the healthy soil bacterias, microbiology, and it extracts nutrients too. So instead of just tossing that on the compost or whatever, I'm going to stick that in this bag. Yeah, it's not so great, kind of hard to get on camera what I'm doing. Maybe if I had a GoPro or something, I don't know. Yeah, so I'm just coming through, and usually I shake all this off. I don't know if it's even in the camera. As you can see, it's all the roots and everything, the weeds. That's all super healthy, right? It's all live and all beneficial to the plant. So that's what we're after. So we're going to fill up a bag of that. All right, these dandelion roots too. Yeah, grab one of those. Where's that shovel? Dandelion's a great source of nutrition for your soil, for your compost tea, for your salad. They're edible, but they have deep tap roots that go down and pull up all kinds of nutrients, especially things like calcium. I don't know if I got one. Yeah, so right, so there's your tap root of your dandelion, and then of course all this other. And there's good stuff in there. The soil. I had the biochar in my soil. So I just don't want to toss that aside or whatever. Let's make good use of it. Yeah, just squish in a whole bunch of weeds into this bag. I don't know what size bag this is, but you can fit quite a bit of stuff in there. It's for my 1 gallon country tea or country wine fermentations. Alright, I want clear wine, so I use a fine mesh to put stuff in. That way keep the least amount of stuff out of my wine. And I figured that'd be great for doing the same thing. Essentially I'm just making a tea bag for my compost tea. Trying to get one of these big giant dandelions out of here. I'd like to have them out before I put my peppers in. Yeah, so this is really high in minerals and vitamins. And then the leaves, of course, are full of sugar. So you'll see also people adding molasses or something sugary to speed up the process, or improve the process. As long as you got lots of fresh plant matter in there, that's sugar. It's been storing it its whole life, and the bacteria and everything else will benefit from it. So whereas the putrefaction method for making a liquid fertilizer takes weeks, this only takes a few days. So really adding sugars to it, yeah, sure, you increase the amount of life and everything, but as soon as you put it back into the soil, you're going to have a different balance of sugar, obviously. But it's a good idea, except, you know, things are expensive and sugar doesn't really go bad. So it's not like I can suggest, you know, rinsing out the milk container to add calcium to your garden or whatever. It doesn't cost you any money. If I tell you to add sugar to your compost tea or molasses, right, that costs money. And it's tastier in some baked goods than it is in a bucket in your garden, right? So yeah, I'm just going through, gonna weed out all this overgrowth. But with it, you know, these roots are pulling up, especially my soil's wet from the thunderstorms and all the rain, heavy rainfall. And actually very close to us got really bad hail, big golf ball size hail. That was a few inches deep on the driveways and the pictures on Facebook I saw. So I'm glad we didn't get that, but we did get a lot of rain, which is great for the garden. But yeah, so all that stuff's not going to go to waste. There's plenty of nutrition and great minerals and bioactive compounds in these weeds. I'm getting in there nice and fresh right into the solution. We'll give it some aeration, and we'll make some happy microbes. I won't just show you how to put weeds in a bucket, I'll also show you the result of putting weeds in a bucket and how to apply it to the garden, and why and what for. Yeah, I'll try to keep it very basic though. Like I said before, the JDAM organic gardening methods for making teas is very in-depth. You know, depending on what pest you have or disease you have, or what you're looking for specifically out of the soil amendment or foliage spray, you have all sorts of different solutions, pun intended. For your garden, for your teas. What I'm showing is just basic stuff. I'm not after any specific bacteria or, you know, treating any specific disease or something. I don't think I have any diseases to treat or pest issues so far. Slugs are my biggest pest issue, and that's one of my projects, putting in a koi pond so all the frogs and birds and everything are happy to come down here and hopefully also eat the slugs and not just my berries. But yeah, I'm just going to continue filling up this bag and putting the other weeds in the other bucket, which I will show you. Okay, so the other method is just a simple lazy putrefaction, and it's literally extracting all the nutrients and minerals and compounds through putrefaction. It's just going to rot down, and it's going to smell bad until it matures. When it's mature, it doesn't smell too bad, and if it smells really bad, like you know, like a campground outhouse or something in summertime, then you might have some dangerous stuff going on in there. It's just like if you're going to use manure in your garden, right? You want it to mature, right? I think some manures are safe, like rabbit or chicken or something. I'm not sure. I don't have rabbits or chickens. So I don't use manure, so I don't really want to give advice on it, but people have asked me about rabbit, and I'm pretty sure that it's safe. It's not going to give you E. coli or salmonella or something. But this method, don't drink it, or wash your hands after you're working with it. Alright, so here we got some monstrous dandelions that look like carrots. They're so big. But this is what I was talking about. This is gone down below the garden bed, right, through the heliculture and such. I'm actually lucky to have pulled it all up. But this has sucked up, you know, calcium and the phosphorus and potassium, all kinds of minerals that I can't even name right now. Right, dozens of them, and all the compounds, plus all the life attached to it on the outside. Okay, we're going to extract all that. It's all going to come out of the plants. That's why it's like it's called a tea, right? Now people are hesitant to call this method really a tea. It's just a cold extraction, but we're also using putrefaction to extract. Just going to let it rot, right? And this method is going to take a couple weeks to get everything rotted down into a round soupy mess that you will dilute. Always dilute any sort of solution you create with either of these two methods before adding it to anything, or you'll do more harm than good. You don't want it in concentrations, right? You don't need much of it. Like, you really can replace chemical fertilizers with what I'm doing here very easily, especially if you follow my advice and incorporate biochar into your soils. You don't even really need this. Actually, when I do make this, most of it, actually I'd say 98% of it goes onto my biochar, not into my gardens. But I have used some for demonstration and stuff, so I can't say all of it. But yeah, that's all there is to it. Super easy. Just pick the weeds and toss it in the bucket. Right? You don't have to worry about too much effort. You can stir it once in a while. It's good to leave a stick in there in case things get in there. Right? A bee or something lands in there and get out. So yeah, that's all there is to it. Continue. You can put way more than I put in there. That was just a few giant dandelions that they seem to be good at growing. Hopefully my peppers grow better than the dandelions did. I have a great time with peppers. So anyways, yeah, putrefaction, super easy, lazy, but takes a few weeks. Doing the other method, which I'll show you, I'll set it up here in a second once my bag is full. Only takes a few days. I can come out in 2 or 3 days and spray it on my plants, which I will, and I'll show you. And I also have another bucket of this going that's already ready to use, so I'll show you the result of both methods in this video and their applications in your garden. Alright, to aerate my compost tea, I'm going to use this aquarium air pump. It's got two air stones, which is good, and it's got a dial here. I can go, I think it's on low, and turn that way to high, so I can control how much air I got in there. That's awesome. All I gotta do is plug it in. So all the way on low it's off, and I can hear it working. Okay, so I'm just going to toss these into the bucket. Sorry about that. Make sure there's no obstructions. There we go. Yeah. There we go. population. And that's on high. Yeah, it doesn't, I mean 20 bucks, right? That's $20 Canadian too, so that's, I don't know, 12 bucks in real money, 10 bucks in real money. I don't know how much value you get for that on Amazon, but yeah, it works fine for what I want it for. Looks like that's about 3/4 power. Looks pretty good to me. So there's the air. Okay, so the air is going to provide oxygen for the healthy microbial life. Well, probably won't stay down very good. Actually, I'm going to get a rock and put it on there in 1 second. Alright, I just got a rock. I just set the rock on top of the bag, so keeps all the weeds in solution. And there, it's already drying out. You can see the water is getting darker. But I'll let this run. Maybe I'll even add in some molasses if that makes everyone happy. But yeah, so that's day one. I'll come back after 2 or 3 days, extract some solution, and show you how to use it on the plants. And like I said, for the putrefaction process, I already have some already made, which is right here. Okay, so here's what the putrefaction looks like after a couple weeks. You get like a thick brown solution, and everything's rotting down. Still a little bit of green in here. I must have thrown something in recently. But I got like tree roots, dandelions, just whatever, bunch of weeds. It doesn't look like much, but they break down. So I've been adding to this for a couple weeks now. Whenever I pull something out, but yeah, it smells bad. You can see there's some off-gassing. My smell of it is methane maybe. Yeah, that doesn't smell too bad. It's starting to smell earthy. So yeah, right there, all the plant matter, everything's broken down into a solution. So this really is a liquid fertilizer. But if you don't want to call it a compost tea, I won't hold that against you. With the air, we're brewing microbes over there. That's probably more of a compost tea technically. This is just sludge, but it's a very useful, helpful, and free sludge. So there you go, and I'll bring you back to show you how to use both in your garden. Alright, it's day 3 of making microbial compost tea. This is more for boosting the biology of the soil than it is in adding nutrients, but there's plenty of nutrients also in this. It's very quick to make. As I just said, this is day 3. Bacterias and yeast and all the little critters that live in there, they can reproduce exponentially, like every 20 minutes. The time varies to species, but it's very quick. So just in a day or two, you're going to have huge colonies of microbial life. So if you want to use the tea, this is a great way to get a tea quickly, right? It's ready like in a day or two. And if you want to keep it healthy and alive, you can just keep feeding it. What's popular, you see in a lot of the videos, is adding some sugar or molasses. Molasses made from sugar cane, so it's good. All sugar cane is non-GMO. Don't be fooled by labeling. Pay an extra for organic cane sugar when all cane sugar is organic. So yeah, I got about 2.5 gallons of water in here, so I'm not going to add very much. There's molasses. I didn't have it. I should have sat it on its side. There we go. Just a couple tablespoons maybe. Maybe even a quarter of a cup. What's that? That's just going to provide a food source for the microbial life in there and increase the amount of biology and diversity that you have in the mix. So you can stir that in or just leave it, it'll find its way and do its thing. But that'll just extend the life of the compost tea, and also, like I said, it'll boost the biological activity in it, right? The number of bacteria and yeast and different things that you want. That's good. But yeah, so okay, so to apply this, it's very easy. You can either use the watering jug. Hold on a second here. There, that's better. I'm not going to apply it straight out of the bucket. We're going to dilute it. Anything you add to the garden that you've made, like compost tea or something, or liquid fertilizer, make sure it's diluted, at least 10-to-1 ratio. There's plenty of life and nutrients in this, and when I add it to the water, it's not going to dilute it so much to make it ineffective. In fact, it's very effective, so you want to make sure it's diluted, and you only need to apply it like once every other week. So I wouldn't even apply it once a week. No. It's very effective. But yeah, so there's two different ways you can use it. You can use it as a soil drench. So I can add it to my watering can to water the soil directly, or I can spray it on the foliage, or spray it over the soil, or spray it on your compost pile, or you could use either of these methods to charge your biochar. But yeah, this is what it looks like. Looks like iced tea, or tea. But yeah, it's full of life, so I'm just going to pour this. I don't know what these measurements are, but like I said, at least a 10-to-1 ratio. I'm using rainwater, so that's going to be for spraying. And I have some more here too. I took these out before I added the molasses, just so I'm not spraying a bunch of water, so I'm not spraying a bunch of sugar all over my plants. But yeah, that's all there is to it. This is just a hand sprayer, a little pump sprayer. But yeah, very simple. It's quick to make. It's very effective. You can tailor make it. This was just like a base recipe you could consider, you know, like you're playing white cake or something. You want to add fruit or different things, swirls in it or whatever. I don't know why I'm talking about cake. I must be hungry. Anyways, so it's kind of like your base recipe. So if you have a specific problem, like a specific pest or disease on your plant, you can tailor make this compost tea to treat that. And again, like I said earlier in the video, and I'll probably answer questions in the comments, look up J-A-D-A-M, Jadam Organic Gardening. It's a Korean gardener in Korea. He's been working on it for many years, and has very specific treatments for all different kinds of issues you might be having with your plants or your soil or whatever it is in your garden, right? So you can make a compost tea out of potatoes that's good for certain fungus infections. You can make tea out of I don't know, comfrey or stinging nettle or whatever. If you think that they have the ingredients in them, or the life that lives on them. You know, you can make a tea out of when you harvest your peas. And you take all that, pull it up by the roots or something maybe, and you have all the nitrogen fixing bacterias. You could throw them in a bucket, add some molasses and some air, and boost the amount of nitrogen fixing bacteria and add that back to your soil. So there's all kinds of ways you can use it, but I'm just going to move this over to one of my beds and show you that what I made and showed you how to make. I'm more than happy to use it on my my own plants. In fact, I'll go put it on my peppers, which are kind of like my prized plants. Alright, I can't see at all what the camera's seeing, so hopefully it's pointed at the pepper plants. But yeah, these are one of my favorite things to grow, definitely one of my favorite things to eat. So if this stuff didn't work, I definitely wouldn't be watering my plants with it. It's not going to like supercharge them, and they're not going to turn all beautiful by the morning or anything. I'm not making one of those claims. I've seen a lot of that on YouTube lately. Put yogurt on your tomato plants and you'll see the difference by the next day and such. Yogurt's best eaten, and even if it's spoiled, you can bake with it. But yeah, so you just water like you normally would. A little goes a long way, but it's just introducing a whole bunch more microbiology and nutrients, of course, too. The water's drawing out all the nutrition from the breaking down of the weeds I put in there, right? They're starting to compost. They'll do it quickly in a solution with air for sure. But yeah, that's all there is to it. So that's the soil drench, and let's see how you use it to treat foliage. Alright, here's my raspberries. I looked around and these are probably the closest thing to anything that's having difficulty. I see some curling of the leaves and such. I don't know if they're just not getting a lot of water sitting over here shaded by the surrounding forest. But yeah, I have my spray wand. I don't know how well you can see it in the camera, but it's very bright. I can't see on the little screen they give you to look at. But yeah, so I pumped up the sprayer. I'm just going to spray all the foliage down and turn it up. Spray underneath the leaves. So any little baddies on there, you know, if you have aphids or something, I would go straight to this first. You can always add a few drops of dish soap to it or something, or whatever the home remedies for aphids are. I can't remember. I think it was baking soda. And this thing's not getting a very good spray. But yeah, it's very simple. You can just spray this on your foliage. All that healthy bacterial life and microbial action, all that healthy biology that we created by making the compost tea. I might have plugged this nozzle. Force as much air in there as I can. Get a good spray. But yeah, super easy, very effective. If it didn't work, I wouldn't be spraying it on my plants. Not sure why the sprayer's not working very well. Guess I should have tested it before I made a video. But yeah, that's two ways you can apply the same solution. It works either way. I think my nozzle here might be plugged. Oh yeah. Plenty of pressure, just got plugged. So that's another tip too. Make sure you strain your solution. Oh, now it's shooting out the sides. Whoops. I just lost the end nozzle. Alright, well, I'll find that and then I'll show you how to use the liquid fertilizer of the other type of compost tea that's not aerated and not full of great microbial life that you want to spray on everything. Oh, look there, I found it. Landed on the plant, thank you. Alright, I won't be messing with that again. I lose that piece and not very useful. Shot it right off there. Alright, that goes in my pocket or somewhere, and fix that off camera. Yeah, let's go look at the other kind of compost tea you can make and how it's used. Okay, so this is the other method of making compost tea. Right, the other category of compost teas. This is extracting all the nutrition from the plants, the weeds, the whatever you put in there, by putrefaction. Just going to let it all rot down, and everything that was inside the plants is going to be now inside a solution. Right? It's going to make a nasty sludge. Now, if you have the other kind of tea, it's ready to use in a day or two. This tea you need to let mature, just like using a manure. There's no manure in this. I wouldn't recommend putting manure in it. Please don't pee in it or do anything like that. Again, using urine in the garden would be like using the other kind of compost tea I made, right? It's not meant to sit around. If you're going to use it when it's fresh, and use it diluted at least 10 to 1. Okay, that's a whole different thing, and that's all about nitrogen mostly. And if you use an integrated gardening management system like I do with biochar as the skeleton of your gardening system, there's no need. The natural nitrogen cycle works very well in this garden, and no need to urinate on anything, in my opinion. I've not found it necessary. But anyways, I'm getting sidetracked with nonsense. Here we got a bucket of rainwater, and I simply thrown in all the plant matter of the weeds that I pulled up, the roots, the leaves, the flowers. It doesn't matter if seeds get in there, they'll rot down too, and will they won't grow dandelions in your garden if you use compost tea made with dandelions that have flowered and may have gone to seed. Perfectly fine. But again, like manure, I believe horse manure, you have to let it sit for a year, mature, all the bad bacteria to work its way out of there and all that. This is the same sort of thing. It's not going to take a year. It'll take a couple weeks, and you can really judge it by the smell. May smell bad at about a week in as stuff is rotting and such, but once it's mature, it'll start to smell more like an earthy smell, right? It's not going to smell like roses or cinnamon buns or something. It's going to smell bad. And there is the potential letting things sit and rot in a bucket of if you put in a bad bacteria like some E. coli or botulism or something, maybe some dog turd got in there or something, right? And then you essentially you're breeding whatever you put in there as far as microbiology, right? So that's why the preferred method is to aerate it, because people like to categorize bacteria as good bacterias and bad bacterias, and the anaerobic, that is without oxygen, are categorized as bad, and that's what you get in here. Now I do stir it up, and I am adding fresh weeds to it all the time, so oxygen does get in there. It's not completely without oxygen, but again, it's going to take a couple weeks, so I'll show you what it looks like with stuff I started a few weeks ago, and then I'm going to use that and show you that it's perfectly safe to water your garden with, and it's healthy for the soil. Here we have a bucket of rainwater that I've been throwing weeds. There's some roots, actually tree roots, because I was digging up an area preparing for another raised bed. But it's all rotted down. It's at least 3 weeks old. I put a lot of plant matter in here. It rots down into very small concentrated mass. But yeah, you can see bubbles, so it's off-gassing, which means it's not completely without oxygen to make those reactions. Just a little bit of methane. And if you were here, you could smell that it's not too terrible. It smells kind of earthy, but unlike the other compost tea I made, see if I can get this in the camera, this one is much thicker. Doesn't mean it's more concentrated. Well, it probably is more concentrated, but it's also like the plant matter's rotted all down into it. So it's not just the water, it's liquid plants, liquid fertilizer. Yeah, but pretty much the same as the other one. You don't want to use this as a foliage spray, and you want to wash your hands after handling it. But I'm just going to put that into you can tell by all the flies flying in it that it must be good, right? Alright, so here's my watering jug. I got about, I don't know what I'd say, just maybe about a cup. A gallon and a half, maybe a 2 gallon. Okay, so there at the bottom. So I just basically skimmed this out of there. I didn't stir up the bucket first. I definitely didn't take from the bottom of the bucket. You can see how thick the solution is. That just out of the top layer of the water in the bucket, you get sediment settling out. That's all the plants rotted down and now being returned from whence they came as fertilizer. Perfectly fine to use it. Alright, so just like watering as usual, water your plants with it. You don't really want to use this much as a spray on the foliage, but for watering the plants for soil drench, it's excellent. I don't really know for sure you can't put it on the foliage, but let's give my flowers down there. Well, yeah, that's all there is to it. Now you can apply this, like I said, once every other week, twice a month or so. So what's that, you know, maybe half a dozen times over summer. You can apply it before fall, and it'll help the microbial action of everything breaking down going into winter. And you can apply it in the spring to wake everything up. But either way, there's two different methods of how to make compost tea. So let's go back over and finish this off. Alright, my friends, this is the two common ways of making compost tea, right? You got with air, without air being forced in. You got this sitting around rotting down. This is going to make a liquid fertilizer. All the nutrients, all the organic compounds, bioactive compounds in the plants are going to be extracted into the water, and you have a wonderful, rich, liquid soil, liquid fertilizer to add to your soil. And then in this one here, what you got is a whole bunch of microbial life. So we're boosting the diversity and just multiplying those bacteria, right? Making a rich, living solution. This is great for spraying it on your leaves, spraying it on the soil, charging biochar. This is great for adding to your soil, charging biochar. Both used together. It's really awesome to charge the biochar. You're getting all the nutrients and everything. You're getting all the microbes from here. So this is your microbial solution, and this is your nutritional solution. They work together, or depending on what you want to do, you can tailor it to your own specific needs. This is very easy to make, low maintenance, low effort, bucket of rainwater, throw your weeds as you go in there, they rot down and leave you with a nice rich solution. This, if you need something quickly, you've got an infestation or a disease or something, you can have this ready to go the next day. Drop some air stones in there, drop in whatever microbes you want to reproduce from roots or from leaves or from both or from specific plants, specific combinations of plants or whatever. You can make all sorts of solutions with this. It's very easy to make your own creation. This, I would recommend, do not put your kitchen food scraps in here or any sort of meat or dairy, and yeah, no sort of defecated material from any animal, as far as I would advise. Now, you know better than me, you know that rabbit or chicken or something is safe, then go ahead. But again, these are only going to be ever used diluted, and at least 10 to 1. So 1 part compost tea and 10 parts of clean water, rainwater, whatever. But don't put it straight on your plants, and don't use it too often. Once every other week is fine. I hardly ever use it at all. The only thing I use compost tea for, or liquid fertilizer for, really, besides this demonstration and what I watered my garden with over there, just to show you that what I'm doing here and showing you is perfectly safe. I'm not going to use it if it's going to screw up my pepper harvest. I want those jalapenos. But yeah, so what was I saying? I just forgot what I was saying. Yeah, it's awesome, eh? It's unscripted, right? So I'm just talking on my ass, as most people would say. But yeah, so it's easy to make. No problem there. It does work. It's very efficient. Oh, what I use it for. Mostly what I use it for and why I'm making it is to charge biochar. Once I have the charged biochar and I add that to my garden soil or my container soils or potting mixes or seeding mixes, whatever it is I'm making. Dog's testing the limits of the electric fence over here. Like a freaking velociraptor or something. I was going to get some milk carton. Knows I'm distracted. The only time she misbehaves, really. But anyways, yeah, so I use this for charging biochar. I don't make any specific fertilizers for the garden, because if you're gardening with biochar, you don't need to be adding a bunch of compost or fertilizers or anything. But this is an integrated gardening system, right? This is everything I do is connected to something else I'm doing, right? The weeds functioned as a cover crop, keeping my soil healthy while I wasn't planting into it. Now they're being made into fertilizer to return back to the soil, or to charge biochar, which will be, of course, incorporated into new soil. And then this, if there's any pests or foliage issue, that's great too. I'll be putting this on my biochar. all those microbes and everything. That's just great inoculation. But yeah, I hope you learned something. I hope all my talking hasn't distracted from how simple it is to make these solutions, and maybe a few tips and tricks to keep it safe for you and use it properly. I showed you how it's used in the garden, and I think I explained fairly well. Again, if you want to go really in depth, you can tailor these to whatever specific needs you have, and the work's already been done for you. If you check out the Korean Jadam Organic Gardening, Jadam, I can't say it enough. This is a great resource, at least for making compost teas. Okay, they do a lot of other things, fermentations and different hacks with soil and plants and such. I can't speak to any of that, but as far as the comprehensive list of compost teas for every sort of disease or pest control, it's amazing. Go check it out. Highly recommend it. No, I don't get any sort of anything from them. They don't know who I am. They're just on YouTube, and you and I are on YouTube too, so go check it out. But if you've enjoyed this, if you like hanging out in the garden, let's take a look at what this dog is doing. As I was saying, if you like hanging out in the garden, you're more than welcome here. Give me a thumbs up, subscribe, join me as a friend on the channel, and yeah, like I already said, you're more than welcome to hang out in this garden. See, now the camera's on a dog. She's behaving, right? Pretending she wasn't eating the milk carton. But yeah, so for more tips, more tricks, more information on biochar or compost tea or whatever it is that's going on in the garden, I'll be here. Have a great day wherever you are, whenever you watch this. Peace.